What up, Owen? Hey, what's up, Yolanda? Morning. What is it, morning over there? Oh, in the afternoon or midnight? For me, it's 9:18 a.m. Mm. Welcome, welcome, Sensei. How do you say your name? Sensei. Yeah, Sensei. 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 I don't know how to say your name, bro. I know you're trying to say Sensei. Sensei. I had McDonald's. Ooh, lucky. McDonald's has a pretty good breakfast. Pancake, syrup, a little egg patty sandwich. McDonald's is the cornerstone of the American breakfast. Yeah, I think it might be too elaborate. We'll just go back to the original concept. Mm. Yeah, vegan teacher wanted them to turn complete vegan because she's vegan. Ah, hell no. I mean, if she's vegan, that's for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, she can't be forcing the students to fucking have a vegan breakfast. Like, I mean, I would say In-N-Out has the best fast food hamburgers. I don't know if you ever had that because they only have it pretty much in the South, or not the South, the West Coast of USA. Vegans are better than God. Why would she say that? She's a teacher. And if her kid was dying, then she wouldn't give them her kidney because um, they weren't vegan. That's insane. That's funny. Well, you're not gonna change people like that have really strong opinions like that. So it's best to just kind of say to each their own, I guess. And she said you shouldn't have pets. Ah, yeah, just yeah. I mean, if you could recognize that as crazy, then that means you're good. You don't have to, uh, you know, take her serious. Just leave her alone, She's probably something happened, that caused her to believe so strongly about this stuff. Um, but that's not good that she said vegans are better than God. That just doesn't even make sense. Um, it's really not good for a teacher to tell kids that. That doesn't even make sense. God help her. Okay. I think I like it. If I let's move this up. I'm trying to get that kind of visual digital glitch effect because it's a hologram. So I'm trying to figure out how would I create that with line. And what I'm thinking is erasing and like adding these kind of speed lines around it and leaving like kind of empty space, not closing the shape of this crescent moon hologram right here. I'll probably have to do that for all the details too, since it's a hologram that's barely emitting right now. So the moment it um, is visible, so all these little craters. Oh, you guys can't even see it so far. Ew. Yeah, you can kind of see it now. Yeah, the electric eraser makes penciling so much less messy. It's gonna be a straight line with like variations. It's a little tricky because it curves. It's throwing me off. All right, we'll figure it out later. Okay. Leon Scott Kennedy. What the hell? Why can't I zoom out? Ah! Oh my god, why does it keep pulling up the friends list? I'm trying to zoom out. Uh, okay. Good lord. There we go. Damn. Thank you. All right, let's see, Orlando. Have fun at your field trip or whatever. Have fun. All right, let's keep going. Uh, let's just do the sun on this side. So, okay, and then it's a hologram. So we'll have like these little, I don't know what you call these like circuit glitch type uh, effect to it. It's like technology pattern. I don't know what it is. Yay! Mm, yeah, duh. A lot of the hand-me-down technologies in the story that typically the underdogs have, um, it'll have this sound effect because it's like glitching out. But there's like a those like kind of upper those the elites, I guess you would say, their technology. There's no sound effect for that. It's just smooth, right? So there's like little nuanced stuff like that in the series that you'll pick up as you read along. Thank you. It's like a crystal ball, right? You can imagine it. Obviously, this is a hologram in this scene, like I was saying earlier. Keen is showing Soccer his homeworld. It's called the New World. Um, and you have this artificial new world um, where one side is fairy tale. So this would be the fairy tale territory, and this would be the human territory on this side. And there's this big wall. It's called the blank. To the human territory, they call it the blank border. To the fairy tale territory, a lot of the people they call it the blank port. And their perspectives are very different because they see this as a wall to keep these guys out, while these guys see it as an opportunity for a better life, right? So that's the issue right there. And then you have the moon and the sun. The sun, I typically show it on the human territory side to show like there's prosperity, while on the moon it's like a dark time, dark era on this fairy tale side. So it also plays with the concept of the seen and the unseen in many religions. Um, but it's not really important. These are like little details that I'm aware of. Okay. Thank you, Chandrila. Appreciate you, dude. Damn, 10 p.m. over there. Wow. I think when you work like that, Chandrila, in silence, and that you just grind at your, you've you kind of enter a space where you become a force of nature, and it doesn't become a burden, right? So if you look at things that are functioning in nature, like the ocean, for example, it's churning and churning, and the waves and everything. It's a fully functioning, essentially a natural machine, right? The moon, the sun, everything. You become a force of nature when you enter that state where you don't let the chatter brain, the ego, keep on running and dictating and distracting you. So it's really important to cultivate that. That's the whole point of meditation. But if you're not actually using it, and you're just sitting there quietly, and then that's it. You just need space. It's like, okay, that's not enough. You need to do something with that now, right? So the grind is really what we're built for. And when you enter that, you kind of liberate yourself from all the headaches that your thoughts and distractions can bring. It's really important to have a space of your own where you could grind away and create. Okay, let's keep going. So I always try to think about wrapping the form and how I can indicate that. So I'll use these clouds, for example. Well, it's actually limbo mist in the story. Um, there's this giant, um, uh, this giant limbo mist that enshrouds the new world, and it protects it from the dangerous old world outside. So things can't really get in unless they have knowledge of how to, and things can't really get out unless they have knowledge of how to. So it's a protection. And within this limbo mist is these giant soul devouring leviathans. So you don't want to even mess around with that and go in there. As well as a lot of trapped souls that humans in the story that are asleep, that don't know about fairy tales and their existence and so forth. Um, they believe are just stars in the sky, the night sky. When in reality, those people living in the new world, these aren't stars, they're souls trapped in the limbo mist, which they perceive as space. Thank you, Toxic. Yeah, music is fine as long as it lets you. It essentially becomes like white noise. It gives you something to keep that monkey mind busy. So music really helps with that. That's why even in religion they always do a chant of something. It's because like the enemy within that's holding you back, its only weapon it has against you is sound, which is thoughts, right? Which is distractions, negative, positive thoughts. When you have something that you can chant and you have it in a cycle, it stops that shit from overpowering your will, right? So that's a little subtlety, but there's a reason why worldwide religions have chanting in their thing. It's a focus device. You focus on it so you don't get lost in all those thoughts and ego and all that. All right. Here we go. I should probably indicate this part a little bit more instead of keep on wrapping it this way. So inside the new world, you have pretty much a flat plane of ocean and land. It's inside this invisible sphere. It's like a crystal ball. This huge lake, essentially, but it's like the ocean. It's so huge to us, we would think it's the ocean, but the old world, this new world, is so tiny compared to the old world. Think of it like a marble in 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 uh, in the ocean or sand or whatever. Like it's so in the desert, like a marble in the desert, bro. It's huge, huge difference. So there's a lot of dangerous things. You have to be at least gold class to even enter there. Otherwise, it's illegal. It's too dangerous. Too many threats out there. Like cosmic horror type threats. At the very top of the New World is this giant ancient castle that's surrounded by a city called Unity City. Um, that's high up in the sky. Hi, by the way, this is. Hey, what up, Uni? A decorated account. What's that? Like an additional account? Thank you, T. So, being that there's like continents over here, these cities might be a little too big. Um, unless they're really close to this part of it. So I want to think, okay, well, there's like this giant ocean down here. I want to see where it sits accurately and somewhat accurately in perspective, right? Where all these cities are lined up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these ellipses to kind of find the, I guess you'd say, the horizon line for them, for where they sit in this spherical world that is flat within it, like a crystal ball. And so the cities that are all the way back here are going to be tiny, right? And maybe it'll be like this. You see only the silhouette like that. And as I get closer here to this range, it'll start to get bigger, right? And then if I get over here, it's going to get bigger. And if I get over here, it's going to be super big. But I don't want to block this to keep that illusion of depth and, distance. So I probably want to draw right over here or something, right? But not cut. I don't want to cut into this ellipse line that I have right here, right? This hoop, because then it starts to mess with the perspective that I'm going for, right? And so, and as it fans out, and we go out here, and go out here, go out here. Thanks, T. Right? So just you play with that, and you try to find where's this coming out. So the center is over here of the ellipse, and I'm gonna find the halfway point. Both ends. You see it? You see how it makes it feel like, oh, this, but what it is, it's all just a bunch of little shapes, and it creates this icon of what we would say, oh, that must be like a city. It's mostly, I'm letting the audience do the heavy lifting. I haven't added any details, no windows, no nothing, right? And at this point, when it's so far away compared to when it's in the front over here, you can see how tiny the city is. It implies, like, your brain basically looks at that and says, "Oh, that's far away." Yeah, that's what I'm going for. Very useful trick. You don't need to be an expert at perspective to do stuff like this. It's very just like a simple trick. Once you kind of know how, you're good. You know. Um, let's keep going here. So on this side, we're gonna have like these more antique, um, old world type civilization. So we got like architecture, cultural architecture, pyramids. So let's see. So first we gotta get the blank the blank border up. You've been promoted at your work. Thank you, T. What up, Sergio? What up, Pay Magna? So up here, so this right here, it's not a giant building. Actually, you're seeing the front of this very long invisible wall, and it's a border or a port, however you want to look at it, depending on where you are in the world and your situation in the story. Uh, um, you're just looking at the front part of it, so you're gonna see it like this. Now I'm gonna try to use these lines to kind of indicate that it's flat on both sides. I want to indicate a little bit of it so you guys could see that it's a wall. It might not read right. That's okay. Actually, it should be going towards the back, so the line shouldn't be going that way. In this case, it would be all the way at the end over here. So it's got to be always pointing, but it had to point towards here, and it had to point towards here. So everything over here. Okay. Okay. Sharpen this. This is throwing it off. I'll put like little clouds around these far away cities, and then when it gets closer over here, add some little clouds, bigger clouds, maybe some clouds over here in between that are a little bigger than these ones. You always want to have like small, medium, big variety, and far away and close, and in between, right? Gives it more dimensionality, makes it more interesting. I should say always, do what you want, but that's typically like when I think of design, I try to go in that direction. Hey, what up, Jerry? This is city. This is Brahmadin. This is Zeptepi. This is Esterstein. And then Shivadin is all the way out here in these huge mountains. And so Brahmadin is like a fairy. Brahmadin and Shivadin are fairy kingdoms, or in Queen. Brahmadin is a queendom, but they have very different views. So the people in Brahmadin, their whole obsession is with beauty and outward beauty, while Shivadin is more about internal beauty. So they're very pious, very modest when it comes to how they look like as a civilization, while Brahmadin's very flashy, not futuristic, but very decorative and colorful. Different, different personalities, but they used to be one at some point. Blobfish. Is that what you see? No, this is like imagine a crystal ball with the little world inside. And there's a giant floating castle at the top. It's called Drakenfrey Castle. And like I said previously, nobody's allowed in there. You can't actually go in there if you even if you wanted to, even if it was wide open for you. The doors were open, everything. You need a special mark to even enter that place. So very few can even go there. And then surrounding it, like I said earlier, is this borderline futuristic city where it's supposed to represent fairy tales and humans coming together and living openly. While humans over here have no clue about fairy tales for the most part, and the fairy tales are struggling over here because this government, the secret government in the sky, makes sure they don't pose a threat. You have a world above there where it's supposed to be like a symbol of them coming together, even though it's a fake city. To be honest, like it's really for rich people from both sides can go, right? And so that's saying a lot right there. I think I need to spell it out for you, but it's an illusion, unfortunately. But they want to have that illusion. I never had blobfish. I didn't even know you could eat those. Or are you saying you just like love how they look like? I think they're called blowfish, bro. I thought they were poisonous. Ah! Too much. Thank you, Thomas. Mm. Yeah, Abaddon. This city over Abaddon. Unfortunately, it used to be a beautiful place in the story. Um, I guess I could tell you. It actually was called Evadon before, but somebody changed it, and it's been called Abaddon since, which is not. If you look up what that means, it's not a good thing. Um, uh, Essentially, what happened is the Goblin Mafia, the Stiltskin family, they have a black market that they run for the human and fairy tales that are in the know. Uh, and this black market, it's called the Druid Market. And basically, they sell everything that is illegal and magical there, and weapons and everything. And Abaddon is sort of a place where a lot of those activities and resources are plundered um, by these various groups that they hire, and it's like a testing ground for so many things, and they've turned it into this wasteland of criminal inhuman activity in I guess not inhuman, just evil activity, bro, because there's humans and fairy tales in the story. So but they're like people too, in the story. Okay. Oh lordy lord. But Abaddon has the most resources. It has the most um, deposit of spirit stanum in the story. It's pretty much a land that's full of destruction, destroyer or stanum, creator stanum, preserver stanum, which are these different crystallized um, spiritual minerals that you can create all this crazy technology from and weapons and so forth. So the government, the cloud government in the sky, turn a blind eye to it because they make a lot of money too from the druid market. Oh well, it's not a globe actually. So outside it's like a crystal globe, right? But inside it's flat, and you can get out. You can go between this invisible wall that I'm making visible for you to go on the fairy tale side or the human side. There is ways to get out. There's ways to do it legally, and there's ways to do it illegally in this story. So Soccer, the main character, actually comes from outside the new world. He comes from a place far in the edge of the old world, if there is an edge. At least that's where he was found, I should say. So atop this blank border, or this blank port way up here, is a city. So it's so huge, you can see it towers over this entire human territory and this fairy tale territory. Um, it's the clouds' uh, main defense against people coming through, fairy tales coming through, and humans crossing. and it's where Cloud Zero is. I don't want to say their headquarters because their headquarters is somewhere else, but it's something like their headquarters is resides at. And so when these rookie agents of the Cloud, when they're done being patrolling for the human side and like making sure fairy tales, don't act up and just keep blending into society, or else after if they want to go, you know, to get promoted and to rise up in their rank from bronze to something like silver, they have an option to go to the blank port or blank border and actually enroll into Cloud Zero, which is like the CIA cloud, and they deal with the fairy tale territory, making sure they don't unite, making sure things are separate, a lot of spying, espionage, everything. So they have to learn those kinds of skills, and depending on the type of soul they have, if it's a destroyer, a creator, or a preserver, there's different ways they can utilize them because they can learn specific ghost arts, or you want to call it soul arts or whatever you want to call it. It's ghost arts though. That's what it actually is termed. But for you to understand, every different type of soul, they have a unique pool of moves they can access, right? So like creators can regenerate, they can create shape shifting. That's very useful if you're a spy. Preservers, they can essentially be fortresses. They can essentially sense a range, a limited range around them. Maybe if they train that, it can go pretty far, and they can sense whole areas for any potential threats. That's really useful, right? For if you're in espionage, if you're in Cloud Zero. Destroyers can literally become invisible, can phase through physical matter as non-physical. There's so much. There's a lot of different moves, but depending on that, they create a team for you and they see where you fit. So and put you on your mission into one of these lands far, far away from home. Got these little souls that are trapped that appear as stars. They're really trapped in this spacey limbo mist. Alright. This is Imp Island right here. Yeah, that. Okay, so now we can actually do that glitch effect because it is a hologram. It's not the real thing. So I'm just gonna erase horizontally. Let me get my electric eraser. Actually, let's see if this works quickly. Ah, that up, Yolanda. Where's my? There it is. Thank you. So I kind of want to go over all the little cities I created, little countries inside as well. Kind of make sure that I'm not closing the shapes because it is a hologram and we want to give it a sort of virtual feel. So now I'm going to go in and probably just on the sides, I'm going to start to kind of highlight that with some speed lines. Play up that tapered screen look. I mean, we're trying it out. We're going to see if it works. I think it is going to work. And then we're going to actually go in and put that digital texture that we were playing with earlier. There's this hollow. First, let's just keep adding these lines efficiently. I'm like breaking my neck. Let me just make it easier for myself. You want to kind of be a little random with you want to have variety. You don't want to do everything straight, exactly same line. You want to have long, small, long. Make it random, variety. This goes for speed lines as well. You want to play with that. And so in this case, I'm using it as a way to indicate that it's a hologram. So probably have to put some in the center. I'm gonna be autocleus. I don't know what that is. I'm gonna steal your skills and not food. Okay. It's all about just trying it out, seeing where it is. All right, and then we got. Let's try to get in the middle, or we could just use a ruler at this point. Speaking of the ruler, where is it? Where's my? There it is. It's important to make sure that the speed effect lines that I put to create that virtual hologram look, right? And I'm trying to make sure that I'm going across so it appears straight. See, now it's starting to look a little more like a hologram. And I'm not doing a straight line all the way through. I'm only doing it where there's some information. So like this castle's information, but this blank space really isn't. It's a blank. All right. And we call those blank spaces, the art term is negative space or empty space. You get what I mean. Blank space is good enough. And I'm putting not too many lines. Am I going crazy with it? I don't know if you could see it yet. You're going to probably see it clearly once I get down here. So it'll be clearer for you guys. It's starting to get hot in here. No, I'm not using a reference. I just kind of feeling it out. You should be using references though if you want to get something very specific uh, in how you typically see it. But I feel I've consumed enough media, consumed enough entertainment, consumed enough just drawing from life that I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do my interpretation of it, and if I can make it read like that, then mission accomplished. I'm probably gonna come back in and add a little more, and then we can move on. This part of the page takes a lot of the real estate on the page. So it's going to be the most time consuming because it just takes up the most space and is very detailed. Oh no, you don't want to get old. Enjoy your life as much as you can right now. Make precious memories and really work hard on what you want. When you're young, you need to be thinking especially about what you want to do. If you want to do art, go hard. You gotta go real hard. You gotta fucking practice, study, learn, do what you got to. Just believe in yourself, believe you can do it, and start young. And then over time, it'll add up. Of course, try to find friends who are also doing that so you keep you out of trouble. Your friends are gonna be more influential to you in your teens than your parents for the most part because you're looking for your peers for validation or whatever, whether you know it or not. So you have to really make sure that the friends you have that you surround yourself with, that they're good friends, they're good people, there's no manipulation games, and that they're on the same path you're on. Like if you're doing art, try your best to have art friends. That doesn't mean only art friends, but you should have your main be art friends, and you should be drawing at the cafe with them if you can, or at school or wherever. And ideally your age, around your age. That's the best thing, because then you can push each other and help each other. Okay. A lap cat? What the heck is that? Looks like there's a serpent in the sky. I mean, you wouldn't be far off. There is the skeletal remains of this ancient dragon in the sky in the story. It is. It's actually attached to this castle uh, over here, and that's a very, like I said, it's a very special castle. Oh, I forgot to put the that. Nobody's allowed in, even if the doors are wide open. You need a special mark, a special permission to even enter there. Otherwise, you could get lost forever, and they'll have to find you and get you out. or you just can't enter. Period. Um, I don't know what happens. Maybe people who are good of heart can go in, but they won't be able to actually find the contents of the castle. They'll just be lost in a labyrinth. But maybe the ones who are just they have evil in their heart, they can't even enter it. I'm not sure what I want to do with that still, and that's okay. Yeah. So the reason this castle has this sort of magical property, or at least I can tell you why it's important. It's because there are these beings in the story who nobody could see. But if there are some exceptions, we're not going to get into that. But there, for the most part, nobody should be able to see unless they're interested in your soul. Right? These guys are called soul merchants. They don't have. They're like disembodied spirits. They're like they don't have bodies anymore, and they're trapped in the limbo. And their whole thing is making sure they meet quota and getting souls in. Right? So these guys, they can pretty much undetected spy on everybody and everything, right? Even extremely powerful beings. So this castle is a direct defense to those bad guys. Okay. I'm not worried about the lettering quality right now. I'm just trying to place it and give it a sort of energy. Like, okay, I want this one to be popping out in this way. But later I'll get into building on top of this these letters and making it more uh, beautiful, more designed. Yeah, he's an example of them. So in the story, you have humans and you have fairy tales, and they're people like each other. Except something happened a long time ago where people lost a good chunk of their soul. Okay, and the humans for the most part, this caused them to lose their ability to see fairy tales. And for most humans that can't see fairy tales now, 80% of the population, they don't even believe in them anymore. They dismiss them as mere fairy tales, right? And the reality is, there are fairy tales, and they're having a hard time in their life over here in the fairy tale territory because the cloud makes sure they don't unite and keeps them fighting and squabbling, right? So they immigrate, or they a lot of times jump over secretly, maybe through the druid market, and they get secretly under the blank border, or there's a way around it, or they pay someone in, whatever. A lot of fairy tales end up coming over here for a better life, and they have to make sure that this secret government up here has to make sure that 80% of the population doesn't wake up, because it'll pose a threat to the status quo, but it can also, they could wake up in a very bad way. Let me just say that, because when a human sees a fairy tale in the story that's asleep, the human that's asleep sees a fairy tale, there's a chance that it might be too traumatic, that their ancestral memories activate and flood their brain. And it could drive them crazy if it's too sudden. So they have to kind of tiptoe around that. And so it's illegal for fairy tales, even if they're just trying to get a better life and not cause trouble, to live over here, right? But it happened so much. A lot of these fairy tales were coming over that the cloud was like, damn, we can't just massacre these people, right? We have to, uh, you know, give them at least a chance to live, right? And so what they've done is they said, okay, if you guys want to live in the human territory, you got to blend in, you got to follow the laws, which is to make sure humans don't wake up, that you don't wake them up in the story. And you have to wear this chip on your neck. It's a scramble chip that makes you appear human rather than invisible, to the asleep population. If a human sees a fairy tale, it'll appear invisible at first, but as they keep staring, their eyes will start to fixate and realize and start to see a silhouette, and it'll start to fill in those blanks, and it'll cause an awakening to happen. So when they have this chip in their neck, the fairy tale people who want to be citizens, they would put this chip in their neck, and it'll appear to them as a human version of that fairy tale. Which kind of caused a lot of issues, low-key, because now the cloud, later Riku, no, not scramble their brains, scramble how they look like. So it's a citizen chip that they put in their neck. It's by law they need to have it in the story. So one problem that comes out of this is actually hybrids. So humans, for some reason, are the only ones able to mix with fairy tales and have babies, half human, half fairy tale. And it's illegal, but it happens so often that either the fairy tales would have a secret love affair with a human, and the human has no clue that they're a fairy tale, and they would have kids, and it would never be known that their kids are freaking hybrids, right? Um, so the cloud said, well, no, we're not having that. And they made it a law so that if a fairy tale wants to marry a human, they need to reveal themselves under the supervision of the cloud. Cloud 8 specifically deals with this stuff and covering up the fairy tale existence in everyday life. But yeah, so if the human, when they wake up, sees their partner who's a fairy tale, it still embraces them, then you're good. You can have a family together. But if the human freaks out and doesn't want to marry you, right, because you're a fairy tale, what ends up happening is they have to put that human back to sleep and erase complete memories of you ever existing in their life. So it's really a lot of fairy tale citizens, they try just to completely avoid that, but sometimes that happens, and they'll just either not follow the law and risk their lives and just like pretend to be human and get with their human boyfriend or girlfriend or husband, and little wife, without getting caught, which is rare. or they'll, go through the legal way. Yeah. How rich are these people? Who? Yeah, yeah, they erase their memories. So the cloud will erase a human that was asleep who was awakened so they can see their partner and decide whether they want to marry them or not if they're because they're fairy tales. They'll erase their memories and they'll put them back to sleep as best as they can. Sometimes it doesn't work. A lot of the homeless in the story that they come off as crazy, they'll be like, "Oh, there's monsters everywhere. Oh my god." It's actually them be awake and actually seeing fairy tale citizens all around. And they can see through the chip that covers them, that disguises them. Um, so there's a lot of that going on in the story world, at least in the human territory. Oh, the cloud? The cloud, it's so rich and powerful. Nothing illegal goes except with their permission. So they're making a lot of money legally and illegally. They're the richest. The second richest is the Goblin Mafia. The Goblin Mafia is creator of the Druid Market. They're so freaking rich. They're like bankers and all these things, but um, if their wealth matches the cloud. That's how rich they are, and the cloud is above all these fairy tale mafias, for sure. Whose job? I might have overdid it with the texture on this side. Just lightly erase it a little bit. Oh, you want to be a part of the Goblin Mafia? Well, in the future, what I plan on doing is for people who are reading and following the series, I plan on making them background characters. So that'd be a cool way to share and stuff. You'll be actually in the comic directly. But I don't know how I'm going to implement it. And right now, we're still in like the raw production phase of this stuff. But it's going to be sick to see that, interaction. Hey, what up, Darius? Some of these I'll make it into a different sound effect. Later, Yolanda, have fun. Damn. Yeah, so all their technologies that they make from the spirit stadium, a lot of it gets activated through one's ghost aura. So you have to be able to trigger your ghost aura to, activate it in order to use these different technologies. So he's technically creating this hologram with his ghost aura, using this special room that facilitates that. This hollow room. It's sort of like Inception. Like you can end up creating all these different things in this room. All right, let's keep going. Yeah, we're gonna have to kind of tweak it a little more. Maybe tighten up some of this down here, tighten up this. But I think we're done with this page pretty much. So we reached not the finish line, but the 99% part. The rest is pretty easy. But we're gonna end it here. Oh, this took the most time to figure out because we were trying to do a hologram effect. It kind of looks like it. could probably use um, a little more clarity. Get erase some of it off here. It's kind of too much of a closed shape a little bit in some parts. But we'll mess with it more, and it'll be clearer as we go along, tighten it up, and ink it. But appreciate y'all for joining and checking out the live. We have more lives to come. This is one page. I'm going to go to the next page, just kind of put that first layer of penciling down in the next live. And yeah, we're going to keep doing that today and try to get these inked as well. So that's the goal. But I appreciate y'all. I'll be seeing you guys. Y'all have a good one, all right? Later.